So good evening, everybody. This is a special meeting of the Concord Historical Commission, January 26th, 2022. We are being recorded. I think there's a lot of other stuff that some of the chairs say, but I don't know what it is. So at any rate, just this is an official and special meeting. And I need to call roll to make sure that we've got everyone who is a member of the commission notified. So I will ask you just to please say aye. Michael?
Aye.
Michael Capizzi. Nancy Nelson?
Aye.
Bob Gross?
He's
You're
muted.
muted. You're muted, but I can see you said aye. Rebecca Lemaitre?
Aye.
Alan Bogosian?
Aye.
And I think that's it. I don't see that Chessie is here. So I will declare that the meeting has begun. We basically have a couple things on the agenda, but our number one most important thing is to review the language of the proposed scenic roads bylaw and vote on it. I think as most of you know, we've presented this before the planning board a couple of times, the public works, spoken before the historic issues, as well as the transportation advisory committee. And that included at the historical commission meeting we had last month, representatives from the folks who lived on those streets that we are proposing to be included in this first bylaw. So I would like to open it up to members of the commission. I think the language is excellent. It has certainly been worked through by a lot of people, but I would also just like to point out that the first portion of all we're really voting on is through to the number 2, because the explanation and the individual descriptions of the roads, that actually can be edited after tonight before town meeting. But the most important part of this language is the first part. 1 and 2. So I'd like to ask if there are any issues with this, or if someone would like to actually make a motion to adopt this bylaw that we will propose for town meeting.
I don't know if you want to take any public comment too.
Okay, well, first just like to hear from the commission. Thank you, Heather. Bob?
Yeah, I have a minor edit for the description of Barrett's Mill Road.
Okay, that's in below, that's,
Right. So I just,
okay.
just to put that up. It says it was the main, Colonel Barrett's house was the main destination of the British troops. I would change that to say a principal destination,
Okay,
because they had maps from their spy indicating the wide range of places they were going to check out.
okay, thank you. And if you have any other, Bob, because you are, of all of us, you are the historian here, please.
No, they were great. But that just jumped out at me as sort of implying that, oh, the British troops, they didn't really mean to hang around the town center.
Okay, thank you. Again, any changes in this portion of the the warrant article that we're submitting can be changed up until the publication date, which is, I believe, sometime in April.
Yeah.
And I make the folks who are actually the researchers who've been doing all this fantastic work aware of I think it's April 11th, it goes to the printer.
Yeah.
But Nancy?
I would just like to say that the language is great. It has been so well vetted and so carefully crafted that I have nothing to add, especially I'll defer to Bob on the description, the explanation. But I also want to comment on the process. I think this has been so careful and so collaborative with so many town commissions, notifying the neighbors and the abutters to the roads in question. I think in contrast to some other things that we've looked at recently, this has really been great. And very nice, Melissa and everybody else that was involved in it. And there were a lot of people I know.
There were a lot of people. Well, thank you, because I don't think we're not done. I think after this, what I'd like to kind of regroup with the folks that have helped with research to talk to them about that. And certainly Joanne Gibson, who has been essential to this from the 80s, trying to get this thing passed. We do want to formulate a kind of an outreach to the community because we want people to understand what this means, what it does and doesn't mean, because we clearly want it to pass at town meeting.
And can I assume the national park has also been notified and mailed to as abutters? You might do
Well,
that.
I'd have to ask Heather, or we'd have to look back through all the list.
Because it would be the Colonel Barrett House, Colonel James Barrett House, as well as everything along Liberty Street.
Well, they must have been, but we can double check.
And Monument Street even.
They
Yep.
must have been, they had to have come up on the abutters list from the assessor's office. I
well,
did not go through
of-
that name by name because there was over 400 addresses.
Of course, they don't pay taxes, but they, I think they'd be very interested in this. And I'll do my best too to reach out the park.
Okay. I'll write that down. Thank you. Any other comments from members of the commission? Because if not, then I'd like to ask members of the public who are here this evening if they would. I see Nancy Frisella Lee. And I think you're supposed to declare your name and address. Is that right, Heather?
Hi.
So if you would state your name and address.
Okay, I'm Nancy Frisella Lee, 140 Walden Street. First of all, I just want to tell Mr. Gross that I appreciate his comment because I was responsible for the Barrett Mill research. And in fact, as before this meeting, I'm rewriting my whole report, not rewriting, but editing it and revising it because I've spent more time at the library. And actually right after the meeting last night, when they were talking about, the planning board was talking about adopting the language of the bylaw, I was looking at the descriptions and thinking, oh no, these aren't right, but I didn't want to really make a statement about it at that time because I knew that your comment about that word main, one of the main reasons was wrong. So I've already corrected that. And I thought what you were going to say at first was that you wanted to say something about Barrett's Mill Road because Barrett's Mill Road is Barrett's with a hyphen. And I pointed that out to Melissa way early on saying, oh, Barrett still doesn't have the hyphen in all of these things. But then she said that somehow the legal department said that they couldn't use the hyphen. So
Yeah, the town
funny aside.
overruled us. Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
that's
so-
funny.
And so just something funny. And because last night I was also thinking of the descriptions while we all were working separately and we had a meeting, all the researchers have met together a few times. We have never met at the end to kind of go over how we were going to present our papers that are published on the Historical Commission site. And we didn't really, so some of the explanations of the roads, they come from different styles. And so it would be my suggestion that we should sort of get together and edit them and kind of make them cohere better.
Thank you. I know, because Joanne and I have actually talked about that, and I understand that you're interested in doing that. I agree. I think it strengthens the whole presentation. So after we get the language of the bylaw approved, I think we can then go back, because I did get assurance from Elizabeth Hughes last night that the explanation portion and the briefer descriptions and then the more in-depth descriptions that are on our page can be changed and edited. So
Right.
no problem.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Any other comments from members of the community? So then could I ask a member of the commission? Oh, I'm
Diane
sorry,
Proctor.
Diane. I see your hand up. Diane Proctor.
Oh, there's Rebecca.
Good morning, or good evening, I mean. Diane Proctor, 57 Sudbury Road, one of the roads you're talking about. I noticed in the description that the description of the Sudbury Road section seems to focus predominantly on the area beyond Route 2. I mean, the center of town, Route 2, and then Route 2, and then across the way. But we did receive a notice saying that we should pay attention to this. So I presume it means the entirety of Sudbury Road. I think that's important. So first, is that true? Is it the entirety of Sudbury Road?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Now, number two, I'm thinking about the whole Crosby's development considerations. And I wonder the degree to which massive alterations in that part of Sudbury Road, whether this bylaw would in any way that you can imagine affect that planning.
Well,
board.
I point out that the planning board will be instrumental in all of that. And the planning board is the body that actually conducts any public hearing in association with the scenic road bylaw. So to that extent, you know, it would be taken into consideration.
And I'd also add that I don't believe that there's any stone walls or trees in that area that would come under the scenic roads bylaw. So this likely would not even be triggered for that project in the future, just because this only covers trees and stone walls
You
That's
mean just
that's what I-
around,
I'm sorry.
in the Crosby area.
yeah, just right there at the at
At
Crosby.
that little section. Okay, that's what I thought. But thank you very much. I think the widening of that road would change dramatically the character of our town. So I'm very appreciative.
Any other questions?
Yes, let me get,
Who's that?
it's Chuck Gibson.
Oh, yes, hi. Yes.
Hi.
Chuck Gibbs.
On this point about what can be brought into discussion when a project is proposed, I reread the Sudbury rules and regulations for their enactment of the scenic roads bylaw. And Concord, as I understand it, will be working on those and having its own rules and regulations. In the Sudbury rules and regulations, any change in there has to be a stone wall or a tree somewhere near, but if there's a change in the street that affects even one tree, or maybe even doesn't even have to affect a tree, it seems like that provides authority to review other aspects, the impact on the road. Well, I'm not sure that it really requires a tree or a stone wall to be affected. I know the enabling legislation does confine itself to those specifics, but I believe it may depend a little bit on what kind of rules and regulations we get as to whether a discussion can occur under any project, under a road project that includes aspects of its historical significance, its scenic value beyond from the road, things of that kind as a part of the discussion.
Well, what you're saying is intellectually interesting, but just remember, we have not developed our rules and regulations. That will not be done until after town meeting. And assuming we pass this bylaw, and even then, it will be a complicated and intensive process because it will involve us, the Historical Commission, the Planning Board, the staff itself, and the Department of Public Works to develop the rules and regulations that will apply specifically to Concord. So,
Exactly. And,
you know,
and
so-
I think it's just important to say it depends on what comes out of those rules and regulations. We can't be definitively black and white now about what's in and not in.
well, but we
is being
can
discussed.
say it's about stone walls and trees because that's what the enabling legislation limits it to. And we are limited to that. We can talk about the size of the caliper size of the tree and you know, how you're moving the stone wall, but the enabling legislation limits it to stone walls and trees.
All I'll say is take one more look, if you don't mind, Melissa, carefully at the wording wording in Sudbury as to see what one set of regulations, not ours, it
Well, we-
expands beyond strictly that. That's all.
Well, we will, you know, I think that's Elizabeth and Heather and
Yeah.
Marcia. And then a whole bunch of other folks will be looking at that.
Yeah.
So
What
thank you.
what I hope endures is the opportunity to discuss the road. The opportunity to discuss the road, its impact, its cultural effect, the historical significance of the road. It may have nothing to do with a particular stone wall or size of tree, but something like that, I think, is motivating a lot of people to support the scenic roads bylaw.
You're talking about the broader context.
Broader context.
Yep, thank you. Yep,
Mm.
Bob?
Yeah, I wonder if, and the assumption, expectation that this passes, if there would be signs along the road at an entrance or exit saying you are driving along a scenic byway, and the Historic Commission could issue a set of little brochures, as does Recreation, for trails, in which it actually, you know, people could be directed to look at a website or pick up at town hall a little pamphlet saying, here's what this byway represents.
Yeah, possible.
It's possible, but you know, early on, we got a question from someone who was concerned about that very thing, in that it might encourage more people to drive on the road. So I think we need to be very careful what we do. But again, that's after, we just need to get this thing passed.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all the comments, because we will have a lot of opportunity to talk about all this and ways to promote. I think, you know, because the other point of all this is to raise the awareness of historic resources in Concord.
Yeah.
And their preciousness and the role that we have in trying to protect them. Diane, yes, I see your hand up. Yes. You're muted.
I think Henry is before me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Henry Moss, thank you. And thank you again for all your work. Thank you so much. He's one of our researchers.
Thank you, Melissa. To Diane's earlier question, well, 557 Sudbury Road is my
Thank you.
home address. I thought that I had been specifically pointed to write about the area starting at the Concord bypass and going south. And I assumed that there were two reasons for that, although no one ever confirmed them. One is that there are historic districts into which the upper portion of Sudbury Road and Hubbardsville are located. And the other thing is that when I called the police a few months back complaining about speeding traffic on the Hubbardsville section of Sudbury Road, they said, that's nothing to do with us, sunshine. That's a state road.
What?
Oh,
Sudbury Road?
That portion of it where the speed limit is 30 miles an hour in a very thickly settled group of
Yeah.
houses with the sidewalk on one side.
wow.
Well, that's something I'd have to, Heather, do you know what he's talking about? And how can a portion of a road be a state road?
You said yesterday Lexington Road was a number.
Well, it is part of 2A. It is considered
And-
part of 2A.
Yeah, well, that surprised me too. So,
I do think that the town did address some of the concerns, Henry, about speeding on Sudbury Road, particularly in terms of out in the area of which you're speaking, particularly in terms of students crossing for buses and school buses and things. So I believe if the town did do that, I don't believe it probably is a state road. Perhaps the person you called I hope was misinformed. But,
Yeah.
I was sure he knew more than I did.
well,
He
okay,
was,
may not.
it was a safety officer for Concord Police.
Goodness.
oh, interesting. Interesting.
I'd like to acknowledge Joanne. Yes.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I was responding to Henry. I just wanted to say something. I hope that in the discussion in all this, we can emphasize the character of our town, and not just trees and stone walls. I don't know how one does that, but I And this may not, we may not be able to augur this particular, bylaw in addressing the question of the character, but as an historic commission, I trust that somehow that accent will be part of what we consider. So that enough said. Thank you all so much for your work. Very exciting.
Thank you, Diane. Joanne, yes.
Well, I'm the one who told Henry that it was only going to be from Route 2 towards Sudbury, and so Sudbury Road. So I have been under the impression, and our original thought was that it would only be part of Sudbury Road. It was the same with Barrett's Mill Road, but somewhere along the line, we didn't continue with the idea that it was only part of each of those roads. So it may be worth discussing whether or not, particularly if we don't want to get involved in the whole situation, I wouldn't think with the Crosbys. That could be a can of worms. That'd be hard for the planning board since they are our co-sponsors, which was wonderful of them last night. But we just didn't see many stone walls at all in the area between railroad tracks or actually between the library and then going on into Route 2.
No, but there are historic houses, I guess.
But we just never.
Chester French's house?
We just didn't make it clear to Henry. I mean, I know, and I'm a parent. It's the first time I've seen Henry, but we've been communicating via email. But we never actually specifically discussed beyond my saying just the other side of Route 2, which is what we said initially.
So that's my misconception. Then I just assumed it was from Route 2 back into town.
Well, it's
Huh.
probably
No.
worth discussing. Maybe not now, but
No, not now. Oh, that was just.
Well, I don't see I frankly don't see a problem because there are historic properties. I mean, that's one of the criteria for the road from the library across Route 2. The planning board is involved with this anyway. I don't see, as Heather has pointed out, there's no stone walls and trees around the whole Thoreau business district.
Yeah.
This bylaw will have nothing to do with that. So, but I would not want to limit it because there are plenty of historic properties from the library
Right.
to Thoreau Street, excuse me.
it's up to the historical commission. I'm just explaining to Henry that I did tell him that, so he wasn't mistaken. So
At any rate,
whatever you want.
we can, Henry, we can edit that your document because we still have some time to do additional research on the road. But, from my point of view, I don't see why we don't include the whole road.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm not against those areas which do have scenic content. But that is not every
Property.
100 feet of Sudbury Road. And again, I had assumed, what I'm sort of getting to is the vote from the planning board that was against us last night, which I assumed came from Adam because he thought there was not enough power in the scenic roads bylaw to keep owners of sites from erecting aluminum fences immediately behind their property line and so forth. So I'd assumed that the Historic Districts Commission would be a more powerful protector of the historic properties from the library to the railway. And then
Just a note-
Hubbardsville Historic District would do the same.
Just a note that the upper section of Sudbury Road from the library to the beginning of the Hubbardville area is not within a historic district. So there is no HDC jurisdiction over those properties.
My mistake. It
Yeah.
should be.
Also, we can only operate within what the state allows for the scenic road bylaw. What he talked about last evening was interesting, but it didn't apply, and it doesn't apply to this bylaw. We are trying to pass a bylaw that which is within the framework that the state created, and that's for stone walls and trees. we may all wish that we had more control or say in certain situations, but we're limited.
It would be interesting to look at Sudbury's though, regs.
Well, again, we will. I mean,
Yeah. I know. That's to come. That's definitely to come.
Yes, Diane, thank you.
Sorry, having said I wasn't going to say any more. One more.
It's okay, that's fine.
We sit across from the library, kind of kitty corner from the library, and the house to our north, I believe it's to our north, but I'll just say toward Route 2, was an Underground Railroad house.
It's Franklin Sanborn's house.
Right, and the house to our right, if I'm looking out at Sudbury Road, I should know whether, it seems to me it's east and west. The one is west and the other is east, but the house to our east has Emerson's original schoolhouse in it, schoolroom with a blackboard and everything else. The Emerson umbrella has presently been using it and is now being rented, but these are two, genuinely historical
Right.
homes.
Plus Frank Bigelow's house.
Excuse me, Frank Bigelow. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. And
Just for,
and the
quick
Wheeler house.
edification.
So,
Right.
yes.
So, and then the Chester French. I mean, there are lots of others then further down, but actually quite close to the library, there's some significant edifices.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Joanne, you still have your hand up.
It's because I can't figure out how to put it down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, thank
I-
you all. I mean, this is all wonderful because, the more we discuss it, the more we all learn about the roads. And I hope all of you have read and will continue to read, because these descriptions of the roads are being updated.
Yeah.
Just about all of them, people have sent in, like, I think Peggy Burke, who did Strawberry Hill, she sent something in this morning. So over the next couple of months, we'll probably see more edits and additional information.
So in the
Is that-
meantime,
Yes, Nancy, I'm sorry. Yes.
so in the meantime, if we're ready for a motion, I would be happy to make a motion.
I see, thank you, but I see
Or-
Ned Perry, I see
Oh,
you've got a
sorry.
question. Sorry, thank you.
Good evening, Ned Perry, 362 Bedford Street. I very much appreciate all the work that has gone into the development of this. I am concerned that the movers are missing 30 to 40 years of history in Concord, where the community, be they police, fire, public works, library committee, have understood the history and character of our town. And I hope that moving forward, that you all will have public forums which don't appear to focus on one part of our town or other, or one part of our staff or other. From what I have heard and observed, this is being driven and prepared within a very small segment of our town staff. And my sense is that you should try and broaden that base if possible, so that everybody feels communicated with and heard from and given that opportunity. Not sure that that's a very lucid comment, but that's my comment for the evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to do that.
That's good.
Well, no, thank you. I mean, I think we do want to be inclusive. I absolutely. And this town staff, we work through the planning department because they're the ones who would be responsible for this, staff supporting the planning board. But I think we've said we really do want more of the community to understand why we've selected these roads, the history behind them, because it's all a bigger part of getting more people conscious of what's at stake when you lose historic resources. So we have focused on roads because that's what we're picking on right now. But as you know, we also invoke the demolition delay bylaw, which is about homes, properties. And we will continue to try and branch out. And if you have some ideas for us, I would certainly welcome them because absolutely it's about the entire community. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Other public comments? If not, I would go back to asking if a member of the commission would propose adoption of the language for the scenic roads bylaw
And to submit a warrant article.
and submit as a warrant article for town meeting May 1st, 2022. Thank you.
So I-
Nancy?
So I approve the commission, or Michael, did you want to say something?
So
Sorry.
I was curious. I thought Rebecca had something she might want to say, although did I misunderstand that she raised her hand and had something she wanted to say?
No, thank you, Michael. I'm good.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
In that case, I move that the commission adopt the language for article, whatever, scenic
22
roads
or 20.
general bylaw. Oh, 2020 or 22.
No, we don't know what article it is.
Oh, okay, that's, so that was a make believe.
It's
Okay.
double X.
Okay.
And Heather, what did you say? And also to adopt that language for inclusion in the warrant article,
To submit it as a warrant
To
article
submit-
for town
to
meeting.
submit it as a warrant article for town meeting.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Michael. All in favor? Nancy,
Aye. Oh,
Michael,
excited.
I,
Bob?
Yes,
Well, I'm going to ask Rebecca, can you get to vote? I'm just going to declare.
Aye.
Alan
Yes.
and myself, Melissa, yes. So it is adopted.
so,
Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. This is only the beginning of the work, folks, but it feels good to get this far and we are a
Yeah.
little ahead. I think the warrant closes February 2nd or 4th or something, but
Fourth.
draft articles are due on the 28th, so we are 2 days ahead.
right.
Excellent.
I think, I just want to say, I think, for me anyway, I think it's a very moving moment to have to be able to vote for this.
Yeah.
To watch the extraordinary work that has been done in such a short period of time, the outreach that has been done. And it's very, very impressive, very impressive.
Well, I think we Concordians, we know we get something, a
Yeah.
burr under our saddle, which the scenic roads are, we're
Yeah.
going to get it done. So
Yeah. And I
Yes.
know Joanne's been working on this for a long time, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
somehow or other we'll put a Susan B. Anthony and a Joanne Gibson statue in downtown Concord.
On the road.
yeah, Bob, yes.
yeah,
Bob.
I would just propose that sometime in the spring, in the thought that we might actually all get together physically, it wouldn't be a bad idea to respond to what Ned Perry said and others, and having a forum in which we invite the people who did the research to come together, talk about not just what they specifically found, but what they learned in the process about Concord and its history. And I'd be happy to help with that.
That's an excellent idea. And I also would like to point out, because I see Anka has just come on board, that Anka Voss, who's, as you know, is curator of special collections at the library, really would like to see a new history, well, a history of Concord's roads. And I think the work that these folks have done is a great beginning. So I think Anka, we have something to say, please?
Yes, I would. We have already, as all wonderful researchers for this exceptional project have already found out, there are already amazing sources in special collections. But we would love to have a go-to resource where those different research resources and source materials are combined and collected and made accessible, and can be in special collections, possibly something online like it is now. And I was also going to say, if you're going to have a forum, say, on this topic, I would love to offer the library's new forum that hopefully will be open sometime in the spring as a venue for this. I think it'd be a wonderful opportunity and location for this discussion.
Excellent.
I've got a
excellent.
title. I got call it On the Road to History.
Okay. I'm
Oh, can I say one thing?
absolutely, yes.
Ned, I just want to let Ned know because I thought his comment was really a good one. And I wanted to let him know that the Historical Commission has been reaching out and sending observers to many of the town's committees and commissions, just so we are more aware of the diversity of opinion and activities in the town. And I am the Historical Commission liaison to the Public Works Commission, and Alan Cathcart and I are getting to know each other very well. But we're getting to. He's great, and we've had some wonderful conversations, including about this bylaw, and we need to have more. So.
Yeah. Yes. Well, actually, that Nancy, thank you, because that leads up to our
Segue.
number 2
Well done.
item on the agenda. It's a brief agenda.
So can I continue?
Yeah, so Nancy, this is about updates and reports from our observer assignments. Yes, Nancy, please continue.
So the commission's last meeting was January 12th, and I was unable to go because I was on a call with Diane with the CPC folks at the state level. But I will definitely be there for February 9th, which is their next meeting. There's a lot of overlap in this town.
I can report a little bit because I had to do, Joanne and I know she was there too. One of the things Alan Cathcart did present was pretty extensive overview of the future for the roads, the costs for the roads. It's something he also previewed at the meeting with all commissions and boards and commissions that the select board had organized on a Saturday. Pretty extensive. I feel like we're in very good hands with our DPW, but it was helpful to understand kind of their approach and the extent, and really it's a very comprehensive presentation he gave.
That's really excellent.
Yeah.
I think they gave that at one of their meetings too. It's like a 5-year plan, and with the budget layout, all the resources associated with different line items. It was very-
Yes, yeah.
it was
So any other members of the commission like to report on their assignments?
Melissa, the League of Women Voters is having a first Friday on February 4th, in which for those people who missed the opportunity to hear Alan Cathcart talk about his roads program, he's going to be presenting on a first Friday, February, somebody help me, is it the 4th? February 4th.
Fourth, it is the 4th,
yeah.
yeah. Thank
From
you.
9:30 to 11, and it should be for people who missed it. We'll try to make sure everybody, that lots of people know about it. Okay,
Okay,
Diane, will that be Zoom?
that'll be Zoomed. Yes.
okay.
And you can find the link for that by going to the League of Women Voters website. If that doesn't work, contact me or other league members and we'll help you figure out how to register.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
There's
Um,
potentially a lot of very interesting overlap between what their vision is for streets and what maybe other visions for streets. So that'll be a very interesting conversation going forward.
Anyone else would like to report? Alan, I know you go to the HDC
I
meetings.
wasn't able to make the last one.
Yeah. I can report from the planning board. I mean, last night we presented before the planning board, but I was interested about new faculty housing at the Middlesex School and the presentation by the architect to the planning board. I was rather impressed. I mean, I haven't heard that much of this kind of thing, but I felt that the folks representing Middlesex School were very progressive and very thoughtful about the concerns, for electricity and conservation of water conservation and site plans. And I was impressed with their work and also the knowledge of the members of the planning board. So
Also, my neighbor is very active in this net zero idea and urge them to go further and be a leader. And
Yeah, be a
that-
leader. You know, I,
I actually hope they don't paint those buildings white because they become very conspicuous.
yeah, they would. I understand that, but
And dwarf the Olmsted campus if they're a little bit removed from the center campus.
mean, I think
Yeah, I was
it's-
going to ask, where will those be in relation to Estabrook and Bateman Pond?
Do you know where that big parking lot is that's right towards Lowell Road and behind, kind of behind where the Acorn houses are that are gray?
Yeah, back by the
I
hockey
think-
rink.
I think back somewhere there, the site plan wasn't very explicit, but the other houses that were built for faculty housing dwarf the head of school's house and other traditional Olmsted campus. So that was it. Yeah, you know that well.
I do.
And you know, without getting into the weeds about this net zero, it's a very viable alternative solution. And I think they really should reconsider that and take a look at it a little bit more closely.
Yeah.
Because
Alan, do you know Michael McAteer?
I do not know.
Oh, you would like him.
okay.
No, but this is important. This is what
No.
we're all about when we
Yeah.
go and find these places.
Right.
I do know a little something about HDC. The developer, because I'm on a mailing list, the developer has submitted another application. This would be the third house proposed.
This is for Hildreth Corner.
Hildreth Corner, at Hildreth Corner on Lowell.
Okay.
And only because I just saw this and I'm on a mailing list. And I think Rich Santoro may have said around, I'll send it to you, Ally, in case you're not on that list. It turns out not very much smaller, different, better than what he's proposed for the last two times. So it's kind of seems like a little bit of attrition going on here, a struggle of attrition or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say war, but anyway, that's it.
It's not too difficult to achieve if you look at the Mill Run project.
Oh, I don't know that. Oh,
That's
I'll
on,
send it to you.
on Main Street, West Concord.
It's all net zero,
Oh, interesting.
no
Yeah.
fossil fuels.
Any other reports from any other folks? Then I would like to ask Nancy if you want to bring the folks up to date a little bit about the Route 2A Battle Road project that we've been working on.
Well, the Battle Road Scenic Byway Committee, which I'm now the chair, received plans in December, 25 to 75% plans. And the Byway Committee delegated, created an ad hoc work group to review those plans and recommend to the full Battle Road Scenic Byway Committee what they thought about the current plans that MassDOT has put forward for the transformation of Route 2A. As that group was meeting, the night before, they got 100% plans from MassDOT. MassDOT's process on this has been really very troublesome. And as you know, the Historical Commission has pointed that out. And there's been, some outreach, as you saw, to elected officials. And some members of our commission have actually been also talking to people who have previously been involved in the process. And that's, I think, been very useful in raising awareness in certain corners. The commission has a special kind of has special leverage on projects that are federally funded in part. And this project is 80% federally funded and 20% state. So we will be finding out more about what the different members of the Scenic Byway are thinking, including what the National Park is thinking, which we haven't really gotten a good grip on yet. So Thursday, tomorrow, the Battle Road Scenic Byway Committee will be meeting at 10 o'clock, and there'll be discussion of what the committee might think about that project going forward. To date, Mass Highway has been very non-responsive and non-transparent, although I think some stakeholders think they have been. So, but
And also just to add that Nancy, Heather, and I did participate in a Zoom call with representative from Congressman Lori Trahan's office, in response to the letter that was sent out over our name. We also were contacted by a representative from Congresswoman Catherine Clark's office. We have not connected with him directly, but we were very pleased that some of the elected representatives acknowledged our concern. We haven't, the representative from Trahan's office has just begun to do her investigation, but she understood our concern. So we're hoping that, I don't know, something that we get some traction on this.
yeah, and the other thing I should say is I've been in touch with the Mass Historical Commission's person who oversees compliance on these projects. So she's been very helpful, and their business is to share concern about historic properties. So I think that will be a useful path to follow.
Any other reports? If not, Heather, we don't have any minutes to go over. No?
No, I didn't get
No.
them drafted in
No,
time.
that's fine, that's fine. So I would just, as a final thing, I would just encourage everyone to review the FAQ, the frequently asked questions document that is on our, dedicated page on our website. We have adjusted it a little bit. And if you haven't read it, please do. Because I think this is a document that we hope we can provide for all residents, certainly at town meeting, and may use it in other times. I think the idea that Bob is suggesting, and as Ned too, the public forum at the library, as Anka has offered, I think is a great idea. And I think I definitely will work towards doing that. So having other materials that we can provide for folks will be useful. So I would really welcome your input on all that. And if there's nothing else, I would ask a member of the commission to, what's the word, recommend adjourning the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Geez, Robert Rules of Order. I think that's something I should do.
I so moved.
A second? Thank you, Bob. So all in favor? Bob,
Aye.
Aye.
I gotta do the roll call. Rebecca?
Hi.
Michael?
Aye.
Nancy?
Yes, I do.
And Alan?
Yes.
And
Aye.
Melissa, yes. So thank you all. I think this means we are adjourning the meeting, and it isn't even 8 o'clock.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Thank you all so much. This is
Good night,
as you said,
everybody.
Michael, it's an historic night for our historical commission.
Don't